Welcome to Drunk Bible Study. This show's mission is to read every single word of the greatest story ever told. A warning to our listeners, the hosts of this show are sinners, but they're doing their best. There will be drinking and there may be some swears. They did say they'd try to keep it clean, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
I'm Emily, and this is Drunk Bible Study, where my good friends Dedeker and Jace teach me, a born and raised atheist, all about the Bible, kind of. Ish. Sort of.
We got into some prime Bible territory last week with Paul and some classic Paul.
Classic
Paul about it's better
Paul.
If nobody has sex. I wish more people were like me. You know, people who didn't want to have sex. If you have to have sex, get married. It's okay to get married to someone you don't really want to get married to if you feel like you should. If you're married, you don't really own your own body. Some really good stuff, you know?
Good stuff. Good, solid, positive, fun stuff.
Some good, clean fun with Paul.
Some good, clean fun.
Paul, yes.
Yeah. What an interesting man Paul must have been. And so, again, because I think the original Acts were very much sort of showing Paul in this really nice light in comparison to what we're getting now in these written letters. So I wonder, is this more the true reality of Paul? I'm assuming yes, considering he was the one who wrote this, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose this is firsthand rather than somebody retelling what they thought of Paul and what he was up to.
Yeah.
I guess you can't argue with that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I think.
Though, who really gives the best representation of ourselves? Is it us or is it the people who know us best?
Yeah, that's true. Really, was it? Because Acts was written by what? Luke, allegedly?
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
was it?
The same author as
yes.
Luke, who was a contemporary of, who was like a bud. They were buds,
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah.
Or something.
That's why I heard with Myers-Briggs, which I know is suspect already. Please don't get on my butt all about that. But I know with what I've heard is it's maybe more accurate to give a Myers-Briggs personality test to people close to you and have them fill it out for you.
Sure.
As opposed to you filling it out for yourself. That might give you maybe a more accurate picture of who you are, or at least how you come across.
I've never heard of anyone doing that. We should do that for each other.
Seems dangerous.
Totally
God.
Should, yeah. Now, I just had a weird thought about Paul and these letters.
Yeah.
And so we already know that this First Corinthians letter is actually at least his second, if not more. There have been previous letters. But these are the ones
this is the third. Oh, no, the second.
We think this is the second one, and there was a first one that got lost or something. But I am thinking, okay, if you imagine someone who posts a lot on social media.
I can imagine it. I'm imagining it right now. It's very easy to imagine.
Yeah. And
a person who posts a lot on social media.
They post their mood changes through the day. They're going through different stuff. They post all sorts of different things, right? But the ones that rise to the top of the algorithm are generally the ones that get a lot of engagement, either because they're shocking or they're upsetting or they're, whatever.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the same thing happened to Paul? And he also wrote a lot of really chill letters. Those ones just did.
Him and Chloe,
no one saved
him
that
and his pals.
to use against him later.
Sure.
Or pinned it up.
Makes total sense.
But I have a question, though, because I feel like there's a certain type of person that decides to write things like this in general or write things on social media that are inflammatory at all. And you're either one of those types of people or you aren't.
Yeah, okay, yes. Especially on social media, people are trying to monetize themselves in some way. Yeah, there's a certain amount of extreme confidence to be able to present yourself as someone who knows a lot of answers to a lot of things and who can guarantee results for you. And please just give me $10,000 to join my coaching program. I could see Paul being that type.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, he did start a lot of these churches. So in a weird way, he does kind of have some authority there.
Sure.
I suppose.
It's like when we start all the drunk Bible study churches, like will we then
I thought more like when we franchise Archipelago Sandwich Pub and create many different locations, then we will have the authority.
All
and then we will send
country.
letters to individual archipelago sandwich pub locations when they are not performing up to snuff.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've heard rumors from Chloe and her family that...
we send Chloe to snitch on all of you about what it is that you're doing
that
right
there was
or
a big
wrong.
food poisoning outbreak with the, with the buzz balls that you were serving. And so
the buzz balls? I don't know if that's going to happen. The buzz balls are the thing that I'm least worried about, but okay. Good Lord.
All right.
What do you two? It looks like you're drinking the same thing.
We are.
Yes, that would be a wine. It would be a nice Chianti.
Oh, from where?
This is wedding wine from Jace's brother's wedding in Italy.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
This is the little grab bag we got for getting all the way to Italy. We got a wine and an olive oil. We've already used all the olive oil. So now we just have the wine left, and it's quite nice.
It is actually pretty nice. We were kind of joking that like maybe it's crappy wine because this place couldn't make it in wine, and so they had to adapt to doing weddings. But no, it turns out that
but no, it's actually quite good. Yeah.
Weddings and wine, they got it on lock.
Yeah. I didn't have one bad glass of wine in Italy, just not one. Truly, it's amazing. I love them.
That's nice.
It was.
We had a terrible time in Italy, but that's a story for another.
I know
another
you
time.
did. I know. I was like, "Are you going to say it? Are you going to say how shitty of a time you had in Italy?"
It's going to be too long to go through every story beat. But
we had a terrible time.
I know. Yeah. I'm very sorry. I am very sorry.
People can just.
It really wasn't Italy's fault, or at least most of it was not Italy's fault.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? As I think about it, like very little of it was Italy's fault.
Yeah.
There were a lot of other people we could blame. Other countries, other people. Italy's actually very little to blame.
We should write a letter to Italy.
We both felt shitty.
Dear Italy.
We should write a letter to, where did we go? Freaking Tuscany or like Siena? Yes, a letter to the church in Siena.
We should write a letter to, because we did see a big church
The Book of Sienians. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Jace, we got to work on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Letter to the church in Siena. So we should pay attention as we're reading Paul today.
Some ideas
for what we want to include in our letter to the church in Siena.
There you go.
Okay, good.
Beautiful. I'm going to say what I'm drinking. So
if you want to.
Yeah, thanks. My partner came back from El Salvador, and apparently they have like this Salvadorian rum. He brought this back for me, which, it says Ron de El Salvador. It's indigo aged rum, 8 years. It's very nice. It's kind of sweet.
Nice.
And then he was like, why don't you make a rum Manhattan? So it's rum, sweet vermouth, bitters, and then a little bit of tequila, because he's like, the rum's quite sweet, so like balance it out a little bit.
We add tequila to our rum to balance it out. That's brilliant.
Just like a 0.5 ounce. Wow. So yes, it's small.
0.5 ounce is not nothing though. That's
not nothing.
That's a good like third to a half of a shot.
But the rum and the sweet vermouth are quite sweet, and so the other just sort of balances out a little bit.
Huh. I just never would have thought tequila. I mean, is it good? Does it work? So maybe that's a good hack for when I have too sweet of a drink. Add tequila to
just
it.
add more alcohol to it.
It's a very good tequila. It's a very smooth, good tequila. So I wouldn't recommend just any tequila.
Is it a smokier tequila or it's more like clear? Okay.
No, that's like a mezcal. No, it's a Blanco. So
okay, got it.
Well, can I tempt you with a teaser about today's reading? We're going to be reading a very important chapter at the end of the reading, which is 1 Corinthians 13, which is colloquially known as the love chapter.
Love.
Have you heard of this, Emily? Does this ring any bells for you? No, not at all?
Not a single bell.
Okay. Well, you're the one reading it. So
I'm excited.
I do want to check in, like when you read it, to be like, if any of the text rings any bells for you.
Like, do you actually know it?
How do you feel?
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
I had to memorize it when I was in Christian school.
Why?
Because it's a banger.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a real
banger.
popular
Yes,
song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Jace, do you know about it?
I know of it, but I could not recite it to you. Dedeker did memorize it as a child. I did not.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Nice.
I'm curious when you hear it, if you're like, oh, right, I've heard that at a wedding or
yeah, Wildlife as Managed in the chat is saying that it is commonly recited at Christian weddings.
Oh, okay. At Christian weddings. Yeah. Well, I've been to a million of those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so maybe you've been exposed.
No, I think the point is that I don't think that I've been to many at all. Have I been to any? Maybe. I think maybe a couple.
Okay.
I've been to my cousin's wedding. I bet it got read there, actually.
Okay, I bet it went right over my head.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can jog your memory today.
Okay. Yeah. Back in the archives of like 12 years ago, but sure. We'll see.
A while back, yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Okay, shall we do this?
Yes.
Yeah, so just heads up to everybody that today is the penultimate episode of 1 Corinthians. And so then next week will be the last episode of 1 Corinthians, and then we'll just have only 3 episodes of 2 Corinthians. And after that, we're moving on to a lot of shorter books, like 2 episodes, 1 episode, 2 episodes, 1 episode, 1 episode, 2 episodes, like lots of very short books until we get to Hebrews, which won't be for a while. So once we get to Hebrews, then but it's only 4 episodes.
It's all relative though, like it won't be for a while, but a year is not that long and we don't even have a year left of this show, right?
No,
the clock is ticking for us to figure out what happens next.
It's like the doomsday clock. Yeah.
Leading up to Revelation's perfect.
Oh my God, guys, it all works.
Yeah.
So the world is falling apart, but the show, it's perfect. It's perfect for the show.
Okay, well, no time like the present. We got to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, exactly. So after this, Revelation will be the next longest book that we will read, because that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. Okay.
Of course it will. 7 episodes? That's perfect.
I mean, okay, sure.
What?
Yeah. It took 7 days to make it and unmake it.
I thought that like 7 is like a big thing. And
7's like a good thing, yeah.
In the Bible.
Because that was the day that God rested,
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yes. Yeah, so today we're reading 1 Corinthians chapters, 10 through 13. As we get started, we want to remind everyone to read responsibly and drink responsibly.
You can drink along with us, or you can listen to us while you're in the car.
But please do not do both at the same time. And with that, it's 1 Corinthians chapter 10. I was like, what the hell happened last time? Self-control, corruptible crown, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Now, I would not have you ignorant, brothers, that our fathers were all under the cloud and all passed through the sea and were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and all ate the same spiritual food and all drank the same spiritual drink. What? Huh?
I mean, he's talking about Exodus. Being under the cloud when God was the cloud of fire by night and cloud smoke by day.
I thought he was talking about, like, you got to be baptized with all the states of water, right? You need a gas baptism. You need a fluid baptism. You need a solid baptism where we just throw ice cubes at your head. Yeah, you got it.
I was thinking like you have to be like frozen in carbonite and then unfrozen and then you are baptized. Like that would be awesome.
That can be our new future space religion.
Yeah, exactly.
Goodness.
For they drank of a spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was Christ. But he wasn't really. He's God, but it's fine.
God.
It's fine.
Okay.
What?
This actually ties in with something that I got into after we recorded last week, which is I went down this rabbit hole of watching videos on the Church of Latter-day Saints YouTube channel.
Oh, right. He did subject me to some of these videos.
I'm sure he did.
And I showed some to Dedeker.
On the Mormon official YouTube channel.
Yeah, so this is like their official YouTube channel.
I'm sorry. What?
The official LDS YouTube channel.
Got it.
They have tons of content. So much content.
It's a bunch of young people. Like...
What are you talking about?
I mean, I know that it's people of all ages, but I bet like they could corral the young people that they're like, in lieu of having to go to like Oklahoma or something, why don't you just make content for us? I'm
pretty sure they all do that after their mission.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this would happen after
I think it's just
mission.
that the LDS has a lot of money that they can pour into things like this.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that whoever's in charge realized the importance of that in today's day and age.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess the Christian Broadcasting Network has also realized that there's a desire for content. Anyway, the important part is, I was watching some videos about the creation of us humans and life and everything. And I clearly did not know very much about Mormonism and kind of the whole belief system there. I only know little bits and pieces.
Okay.
But the important part that really blew my mind was that according to that religion, God did not create the heavens and the earth, that he actually told Jesus to do it.
What?
Yeah.
So
that
Jesus was the rock.
Spirit angel Jesus was actually the one that made all that stuff.
Okay.
So is this where we do some big reveal where we like show that it was Jesus all along? And then we do sort of a flashback like in Fight Club where it's all the scenes playing again, but it's the rock
Jesus
this
was the
time.
rock all along.
Or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, so good.
Well, okay, that kind of makes sense if like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost are all the same person.
Yeah, right.
However, is that what we're saying here? Or are we just going to become a Mormon show now?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not this day.
Today is not this day. Okay.
Anyway,
right.
I have no idea why he's saying the rock was Christ back then, because Christ wasn't around back then, unless he's also a Mormon.
Paul contains multitudes. Okay.
Yes.
However, with most of them, God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now, these things were our examples, to the intent we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted. Neither be idolaters, as some of them were.
Yes.
As it is written,
They were idolaters. They did have the golden calf. We know
they
that.
loved that golden calf.
They loved it so much.
As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. How dare they?
Ooh.
Neither let us commit sexual immorality, as some of them committed, and in one day 23,000 fell. Wait, did he kill a bunch of those peeps?
Yeah.
I think that was
what
the
happened?
story where
I think that was the golden
ground
calf.
opened up.
Yeah, where the ground opened up and swallowed a bunch of people.
No, that was not at the golden calf.
That was after.
Later.
That was after.
Yeah.
But it was because of the golden calf.
I thought it was because of they had too many like Canaanite wives or something.
Who knows what the reason was? One of those.
Too many wives.
No, but I don't think it
many
was. I don't
Canaanite
think it had to
wives.
do with the golden calf specifically. I think it was a fair amount later in the story, but where a bunch of chasms opened up and everyone's tents fell into it and they all died.
Neither let us test the Lord, as some of them tested and perished by the serpents. Oh, it is the year of the snake.
Oh,
Neither grumble, as some of them also grumbled and perished by the destroyer. Who's the destroyer? Like the Rock, Dwayne Johnson?
I think it's
Maybe?
the
Or
Rock's
Avenger of
biceps.
blood that he sent.
Specifically.
Yes, probably his biceps. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, all these things happened to them by way of example, and they were written for our admonition? Admonition? Is that what this is?
Admonish, like to
Admonition.
scold.
Admonition.
Admonition or
Admonition.
scoldment or scolditude.
Scolditude.
So I was just noticing that the Tyndale translation here, where he says, what was it in the translation? Like, don't complain or don't mutter or don't, what was it?
Neither grumble, as some of them also grumbled and perished by the destroyer.
In the Tyndale Bible, it says, Nether murmur ye as some of them murmured and were destroyed of ye destroyer.
What does that mean?
Like murmur, I'm assuming.
Murmur, I guess, but it's M-U-R-M-U-R-E. Murmur.
Oh, I see.
Murmur.
Nether murmur ye
Murmur.
as some of them murmured and were destroyed
Murmur.
of ye destroyer.
Stupid. Okay. Now, all these things happened to them by way of example, and they were written for admonition, on whom the ends of ages have come. Therefore, let him who thinks he stands be careful that he doesn't fall. No temptation has taken you except what is common to man. God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted above what you are able, but will with the temptation also make the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it.
Now, this is interesting because this is a Christian thing about how God won't throw any temptation in your way that you can't handle.
And yet, this feels to me directly in opposition to the whole thing of like, I won't be in an elevator with someone of the opposite sex because I won't be able to resist that temptation.
Right. I'm already calling my
that's a
shot,
really good point.
but I can't resist that one.
Yeah, I can't. I know I'll just instantly have sex.
Well, yeah, and like, why does anybody cheat then if, I can resist it, and then they just choose not to?
Or maybe
like,
it's
I don't
just
know.
so that it's like God won't put anything in front of you that you couldn't have succeeded at. So if you didn't, that was you.
That was you or that was the devil.
You're
I
the
see.
bad. You're the
Okay.
bad one here.
Yeah. Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. I speak as to wise men. Judge what I say.
Oh, we are. We are. Don't worry.
Yeah. The cup of blessing which we bless, isn't it a communion of the blood of Christ? The bread which we break, isn't it a communion of the body of Christ? Because we, who are many, are one bread, one body, for we all partake of the one bread. Consider Israel after the flesh. Don't those who eat the sacrifices have communion with the altar? What am I saying then?
Okay, yeah. His poor scribe was just on autopilot.
I truly think that this is just freaking like spewing out everything.
He's confusing himself.
Thinking.
Yes.
What am I saying then? That a thing sacrificed to idols is anything, or that an idol is anything? What?
Okay, wait. Yeah, hold on. Back up a couple sentences. Read that again.
He's talking about like the bread that we break, isn't it a communion of the body of Christ? Because we who are many are one bread, one body, for we all partake of the one bread, which is kind of weird. That's like cannibalistic bread eating itself.
Yeah, that's bread on bread action.
You are what you eat, so we become bread, which is also Christ, and we're eating ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. Consider Israel after the flesh. Don't those who eat the sacrifices have communion with the altar? What am I saying then?
Don't those who eat the sacrifices. Is this going back to last episode where he talked about if you eat food that was left at altars to other gods? Do you remember that whole side quest that we went on?
Maybe.
And so, yeah, I'm like, maybe he's talking about that, saying, but if you're doing that, then you're becoming those idols because you're becoming what you eat. But then he's asking the question of like, but are those nothing, or is the food nothing?
Yeah, he's like that a thing sacrificed to idols is anything, or that an idol is anything. Who can read this first time out and just be like, yeah, I get all of it. Obviously, this is what it means. I'm just going to keep going. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to God. And I don't desire that you would have communion with demons.
Okay.
You can't both drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons.
It's true. You can't double fist that. That's hard.
I guess not, sadly. Yeah. You can't both partake of the table of the Lord and of the table of demons. Or do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? All things are lawful to me, but not all things are profitable.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, not all things are
profitable.
Yeah, that's a bit confusing. Can I read you the message real quick?
Yeah,
because Eugene has some good stuff to say here. So I'm going to go back to verse 19 here. So he says, do you see the difference? Sacrifices offered to idols are offered to nothing. And what's the idol but a nothing? Or worse than nothing, a minus, a demon. I don't want you to become part of something that reduces you to less than yourself. And you can't have it both ways. Banqueting with the master one day and slumming with demons the next.
I don't know if demons slum it, really. I hang out with some classy demons.
Yeah, I feel like demons live in luxury.
No, totally. Yeah, they're probably living just a wonderful life, you know?
The high life.
Or is he saying like slumming it means hanging out in your like matching velour tracksuit in your palace? More like lazing about, kind of slumming it. You know?
I see. Matching velour tracksuit. Wow. This is like the demon wear. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I can picture demons always wearing the velour tracksuit.
I see. Got it. Okay. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful for me, but not all things build up. Let no one seek his own, but each one his neighbor's good. Whatever is sold in the butcher shop, eat, asking no question for the sake of conscience.
Okay, but that's how we ran into those food poisoning incidents at that one branch of the Archipelago Sandwich Pub, is because they didn't ask any questions at the butcher shop, and we need to crack down on that.
So true. We could just lift this paragraph as it is into our letter that we wrote to them.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be a part of this butcher shopping, but
sure,
go
you're
nuts.
Right, you're right. The tofu butcher.
It's a vegan butcher.
There you go. Thank you. I think the vegan butcher would have very high standards. Whatever is sold in the butcher shop, eat, asking no questions for the sake of conscience. For the earth is the Lord's and its fullness. But if one of those who don't believe invites you to a meal and you are inclined to go, eat whatever is set before you, asking no questions for the sake of conscience. But if anyone says to you, this was offered to idols, don't eat it for the sake of the one who told you and for the sake of the conscience.
Okay, so it's like if you don't know where it comes from, you don't need to ask.
You're fine.
Like you don't need to ask a bunch of questions about whether or not this
meat... it's not your fault?
Yeah, just receive whatever they're giving you. But if you happen to find out...
You just feign ignorance? Like, is that what this is?
I think so.
It's just if you don't ask, you don't know, it's fine. But if someone... He's saying like if someone tells you that it came from...
Don't ask, but if told... Don't eat.
Don't eat.
It's a DA.
And you're doing it.
ITDE.
Yes.
Thank you.
Policy.
But he's kind of saying like, don't eat it for them and also for you. Kind of to be like, don't let them know that you knew that it was idol food and you still ate it. I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
So can I read you some of the message here?
Sure.
He said, eat anything sold at the butcher shop, for instance. You don't have to run an idolatry test on every item. The earth, after all, is God's and everything in it. That everything certainly includes the leg of lamb in the butcher shop. If a non-believer invites you to dinner and you feel like going, go ahead and enjoy yourself. Eat everything placed before you. It would be both bad manners and bad spirituality to cross-examine your host on the ethical purity of each course as it is served. It's like an Emily Post kind of manners guide here. I like it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if he goes out of his way to tell you that this or that was sacrificed to God or goddess so-and-so, you should pass.
Okay.
Even though you may be
now we know.
Indifferent as to where it came from.
Okay.
Now we know the policy.
Just very gently pass.
This is actually reminding me of a time when I was having Thanksgiving dinner with Anand, who is one of the artists who does our theme song, Josh and Anand. And he grew up Brahmin, and so they don't eat meat. And we were kind of talking about like, well, what happens if you don't know that you ate meat, right? Like if it's in a dish and you didn't know that, or, kind of. And basically what he said is he's like, you need to take reasonable precautions. But if someone kind of tricks you into it or kind of intentionally misleads you in a way or hides that from you, then that's on them.
Sure.
Basically, then
that's
their fault, which it kind of sounds like a similar thing here. It's like,
that's
as long as you didn't know and like reasonably, politely wouldn't have asked, you're okay.
I'm going to finish us off.
Yes.
Conscience, as I say, not your own, but the other's conscience. For why is my liberty judged by another's conscience? If I partake with thankfulness, why am I denounced for that which I give thanks? Whether, therefore, you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. Give no occasions for stumbling either to Jews or to Greeks or to the assembly of God, even as I also please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved.
Great. Okay, well, we've gotten good actionable advice about what questions are not okay to ask when your friend invites you over to eat his meat.
It's true.
Yes.
As it were.
Yes.
I do like, has anyone not eaten of Job's meat? No, I do think that this advice is interesting because he's kind of talking about like manners and how to go along to get along in a way, which is very much Paul's whole deal, right? Is he kind of plays to the audience that he's in, his whole thing about like, if you're not from a culture that does circumcision, don't do it. Don't worry about it. That it fits at least.
I appreciate that about Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me move on here to 1 Corinthians chapter 11.
Great idea.
Be imitators of me, even as I also am of Christ.
Calm down, Paul.
Now I praise you, brothers, that you remember me in all things and hold firm the traditions, even as I delivered them to you. Boy, this guy really... But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God.
I was taught this in Christian school growing up.
I see.
This is the hierarchy.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've seen this advertised. Like this
advertised?
Is well,
It's like an Instagram ad or what?
Yeah.
Totally, 100%. Like this is a pretty well-known thing that, like the hierarchy is like God is the top and then the man of the house and then the woman of the house and then the kids.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That is exactly.
We'll see if we get to
I even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah. The head of every man is Christ. The head of the woman is the man. And the head of the Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. So remember, we talked about this a little before of like, this was different from what the Jews did, where the men would cover their heads. I was
going to say, this feels like it's very diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every woman praying or prophesying with her head unveiled dishonors her head.
Oh, okay. So we're in on that for women still covering their heads.
Yeah. For it is one and the same thing as if she were shaved.
Whoa.
Oh, the worst. The worst.
The humanity.
The humanity.
Like if her head was shaved, I'm assuming?
I assume so.
Okay.
For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. But it is shameful for a woman to be shorn or shaved. Let her be covered. We've kind of swung one way and back. Okay, so we got to cover up our women real good. So this is where the whole like hijab kind of stuff, I think, originated from, and then it got expanded upon and not. But it's like,
but from Paul, really?
I think
older
so.
Than that.
I mean, sure, but it's like it's got backup here of like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Well, sure.
For a man indeed ought not to have his head covered, because he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. Real trophy wife situation here.
Ew.
For man is not from woman, but woman is from man. For neither was man created for the woman, but woman for the man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For this cause.
Isn't that different than the last chapter or than 2 chapters ago?
The last chapter, it
was
like
contradicting this a bit.
A little bit.
That like spouses own each other. That if you are married, if you're a wife, your body belongs to your husband. And if you're a husband, your body belongs to your wife. And this is much more laying out the strict hierarchy and like really reiterating that.
Yeah.
It's also really funny to me that they keep saying like, oh, well, because of Adam, like a woman comes from man. But like actually isn't everyone first a woman and then they get the X chromosome?
Right. Yeah. The Y chromosome.
The Y chromosome.
Yeah.
Sorry. The Y chromosome.
Yeah.
We're the XX, they're the XY. Yes.
Yeah.
Very silly.
Yeah. So, but they didn't know genetics back then, I guess.
I suppose not. God didn't teach them that.
For man is not from woman, but woman from man. Neither was man created for the woman, but woman for the man. For this cause, the woman ought to have authority on her head because of the angels.
Huh?
Yeah, that because of the angels part, I'm really fascinated to know how Eugene handles all of this.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Okay, Eugene. Eugene actually impressed us recently with some of the gay bashing stuff where he actually rolled it back a little bit. So,
okay.
Let's see what he says here. In a marriage relationship, there is authority from Christ to husband and from husband to wife. The authority of Christ is the authority of God. Any man who speaks with God or about God in a way that shows a lack of respect for the authority of Christ dishonors Christ. In the same way, a wife who speaks with God in a way that shows a lack of respect for the authority of her husband dishonors her husband. Worse, she dishonors herself, an ugly sight, like a woman with her head shaved. Jeez, rude.
Oh, jeez.
Damn, bro.
He like made it worse. I think he actually somehow made it worse, which is weird.
Yeah.
This is basically the origin of these customs we have of women wearing head coverings in worship. He's like giving a little history lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
While men take their hats off. By these symbolic acts, men and women, who far too often butt heads with each other, submit their heads to the head, God.
No.
Shut up, Eugene.
Damn it.
You're canceled, Eugene.
Yeah.
We're done with you.
Yeah, Eugene, that's enough. That's enough out of you.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done now.
Nevertheless, neither is the woman independent of the man, nor the man independent of the woman in the Lord. For as woman came from man, so man also comes through a woman.
Oh.
But all things are from God.
Okay. I think at least they're acknowledging that you get born out of a woman.
Right. He's kind of
not
backing
just
it
from
off.
a man's hip bone or whatever the hell.
Yeah. So I guess I appreciate as much as I can that he's like backing off a little from like, that's not to say that women are worse, because like we all come from God. It's just there's a chain of command with reporting, who submits reports to God, I guess. Judge for yourselves. Is it appropriate that a woman pray to God unveiled? Doesn't even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him?
Hold on, Paul.
Wait,
what
really?
the heck
Hold
are you
on, Paul.
talking about, Paul?
How does nature
Wait.
teach us that? Also, didn't we have like the Levites and Samson and
we've
this
had a
whole
lot of
deal
long
about
hair
growing out,
grows.
taking a vow
Samson
and growing out your
lost
hair? Like
his
Paul.
mojo when he cut off his hair.
Yeah.
Paul?
And also like all of the what are they? The ones that have to grow their hair out long.
The
that never
Levites.
cut it.
The Levites.
right?
No,
or
the ones that get pledged to God. The Nazarites.
Nazarite
Yes,
vow.
that's
what
the
it
one.
was.
Oh,
Yes.
the Dedekers.
Yes.
Yes, me.
That the Nazarites, that they would not ever cut their hair. So I'm like, Paul, you're just pulling this out of your butt.
I think he does that a lot.
Yeah.
Doing the classic appeal to nature, but it's clearly it's natural for men to have
It's
short
natural to
hair and
grow
women to have
hair.
long.
No, this is just the natural way of things. That's how they're. It's like what nature?
Yeah, because I tend to like it better. I like it when a man has short hair and a woman has long hair.
Obviously, women are more beautiful with long hair. That's natural.
Well, okay, verse 15. But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair
God.
is given to her for a covering.
All right, everyone, cut your hair off now.
But if any man seems to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither do God's assemblies.
Huh?
What? Yeah, let me see what Eugene says here real quick. I hope you're not going to be argumentative about this. All God's churches see it this way. I don't want you standing out as an exception. I see. So I guess he's just kind of being like, everyone's doing it. Don't. Yeah.
Just go back. Go away. You
Just go back to your hut on the
Go
beach,
back.
Paul.
Yeah.
But in giving you
Okay.
this command, I don't praise you that you come together not for the better, but for the worse. First of all, when you come together in the assembly, I hear that divisions exist among you, and I partly believe it. That's a good little nuance there.
Okay.
And I partly believe it. For there also must be factions among you, that those who are approved may be revealed among you.
Huh?
I don't know what he's saying here. When therefore you assemble yourselves together, it is not possible to eat the Lord's Supper. For in your eating, each one takes his own supper before others. One is hungry and another drunken. What? Don't you have houses to eat and drink in? Or do you despise God's assembly and have put them to shame who don't have? What shall I tell you? Shall I praise you? In this, I don't praise you.
Okay, well, what is the message's interpretation of this whole little drama? Because to me, it just sounds like a badly managed restaurant.
He's
perhaps.
just not the best writer, Paul. I think he's just, he needed an editor. If he had an editor before he sent this off, it would probably be a lot better.
Yeah.
And yet,
And yet.
here we are.
And
Here we are.
We get the whole thing.
Okay, let's see. This is verse 20 in Eugene. Then I find that you bring your divisions to worship. You come together, and instead of eating the Lord's Supper, you bring in a lot of food from the outside and make pigs of yourself.
Oh, no outside food or drink at the Lord's Supper. Everyone, fundamental rule.
Fundamental
No
rule.
shoes, no shirt, no service, and no outside food or drink.
Classic.
It's a health code violation.
Classic.
Exactly.
You know.
Some are left out and go home hungry. Others have to be carried out, too drunk to walk. I can't believe it. Don't you have your own homes to eat and drink in? Why would you?
How dare you have fun?
Yeah. Why would you stoop to
church.
desecrating God's church? Exactly. Why would you actually shame God's poor? I never would have believed you would stoop to this, and I'm not going to stand by and say nothing. Okay.
Calm down, Paul. Yeah. Okay.
Verse 23.
For I received from the Lord that which also I delivered to you, that the Lord Jesus, on the night in which he was betrayed, took bread. He had given thanks, he broke it, and said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in memory of me." In the same way, he also took the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink, in memory of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. Therefore, whoever eats this bread or drinks the Lord's cup in a manner unworthy of the Lord will be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord." Now, pause real quick because I didn't know that this is where that came from.
What?
Oh, the whole, like the script for communion?
Yeah, when you do communion in church, this is almost exactly the script that gets read.
No, but in the Last Supper, he was like, "Here, take this. This is my body."
But he said it.
Eat it in remembrance of me.
But that this has the in the exact order of it. I always thought that had been pulled from what Christ said in the Gospels. But it's like, no, actually it's pulled from Paul pulling it and being like, this is the exact order to say things. So that's the part that I just didn't realize.
This cup is my blood. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, right. That this is him now saying it. Yeah, this is my body, which is broken for you. And then this is the cup. Drink of it in remembrance of me, like all that stuff. Anyway.
Okay. Huh.
But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For he who eats and drinks in an unworthy manner eats and drinks judgment to himself, if he doesn't discern the Lord's body. For this cause, many among you are weak and sickly, and not a few sleep.
Because they're getting too drunk.
Yeah, right.
They're sleeping very poorly.
For if we discerned ourselves, we wouldn't be judged. But when we are judged, we are punished by the Lord, that we may not be condemned with the world. Therefore, my brothers, when you come together to eat, wait one for another. But if anyone is hungry, let him eat at home, lest your coming together be for judgment. The rest I will set in order whenever I come. It's like, I'll teach you the rest of the tricks once I'm there. That's for the in-person workshop. Can't do that one. Correspondence.
Again, $10,000.
$2,000.
Yeah. All right, before we go on to our last two chapters today, go tell your friends. Go run. Go tell it on the mountain.
Yeah.
Over the hills and everywhere that DBS is almost to the end and they got to get in now while they can so they can come to the live shows. It's a hit song. You've probably heard it before. Anyway, go tell your friends. We'd love for them to come check out the show, whether that's the recorded versions or, of course, the live shows. Maybe they're like, hey, you know what? I don't need to read the Old Testament. I'll just jump right into this New Testament stuff. That's a reasonable amount to catch up on so they can join us in the live shows here. Obviously, extra points and extra comprehension for anyone who does go back and listens to the whole thing. But still. Anyway, we'd love it if you could spread the word. And of course, if you'd like to support this show where we don't have any advertising on this show at all, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/drunkbiblestudy. And as a thank you, we have things like personal toasts on the show, Emily's drink recipes, early access to episodes, and of course, our love and affection and our not judgment. We will not judge you.
No.
Yeah.
Except in positive ways.
Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Now, concerning spiritual things, brothers, I don't want you to be ignorant. You know that when you were heathen, you were led away to those mute idols, however you might be led. Therefore, I make known to you that no man speaking by God's Spirit says, Jesus is accursed. No one can say Jesus is Lord, but by the Holy Spirit. Now, there are various kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are various kinds of service and the same Lord. There are various kinds of workings, but the same God who works all things in all. But to each one is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the profit of all. For to one is given through the Spirit the word of wisdom, and to another the word of knowledge, according to the same Spirit. To another faith, by the same Spirit, and to another gifts of healings by the same Spirit, and to another workings of miracles, and to another prophecy, and to another discerning of spirits, to another different kinds of languages, and to another the interpretation of languages.
This person can speak them, but he has no idea what he's saying. This other person can understand
what speaking in tongues is like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Is that you don't know what you're saying.
Right.
You're just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that really true?
Well, yeah. Because you're saying nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know. But like, I guess I thought that the person who was speaking in tongues thought that they knew what they were saying.
Oh, no.
I think
Or
they
they
pick
just
up
kind
some
of, like,
vibes
speak-
of what they're
It's just
saying.
vibes. Yeah, it's a vibes-based
Yeah.
worship.
They're just vibing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just vibing.
Okay.
They're scatting, you know.
They're scatting?
It's spiritual scatting, basically.
Spiritual scatting. Got it.
Just kind of
Okay.
like that. Yeah, you're like... Yeah, okay.
What if you got up there and did that? And what if yes, the Lord speak through you, and then you're like,
Pretty sure they'd kick you out real quick for that.
I feel like so many angry
I love that.
Christian adults from my childhood are just like on my shoulder, glaring down the back of my neck right now. And I'm just so delighted at the same time. I feel sinful, even with you making that joke, Emily.
God, I love it very much.
That's hilarious, though.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. But the one and the same Spirit works all of these, distributing to each one separately as he desires. For as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ.
What? Sorry, what?
That's a lot of members.
There's a lot of bodies and members, and I did not follow.
For in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether bond or free, and were all given to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot would say,
Hey, I'm a
because I'm not the hand, I'm not part of the body, it is not therefore not part of the body. If the ear would say, because I'm not the eye, I'm not part of the body, it's not therefore not part of the body. Oh, these multiple negatives, Paul.
It's not part of the body.
If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be?
Okay. He is definitely on some psilocybin right now. Okay.
We consistently are able to identify the peaking moment that he has in each of these.
100%. Oh my God.
If the whole body were hearing, where would the smelling be?
So true.
You did not.
So true.
I'm dying right now.
But now, God has set the members, each one of them, in the body, just as he desired. If they were all one member, where would the body be? But now, there are many members, but one body. The eye can't tell the hand, I have no need for you. Or again, the head to the feet, I have no need for you. No. Much rather, those members of the body which seem to be weaker are necessary. Those parts of the body which we think to be less honorable, or those we bestow more abundant honor. What's the most honorable part of your body, Jace?
Most honorable part. I was thinking the other
That's a really good question.
Most honorable part of my body.
What would even be the least honorable? Like your little toe, which is also really important. Okay?
That's the point. Yes, Paul agrees with you.
Yeah,
it's
right.
also important.
That's what he's all about. Okay. No, I'm on board, Paul. He's making some sense here, even if he's high while he's saying it.
Those parts of the body which we think to be less honorable, on those we bestow more abundant honor, and our unpresentable parts have more abundant propriety, whereas our presentable parts have no such need. But God composed the body together, giving more abundant honor to the inferior part, that there should be no division in the body, but that the members should have the same care for one another. When one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. Or when one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now, you are the body of Christ and members individually. God has set some in the assembly, first apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then miracle workers, then gifts of healings, helps, governments, and various kinds of languages.
Wait,
hold on, this list just fell apart.
Some in the assembly.
Yeah.
What is he talking?
What verse number is this? I want to see Eugene's version.
It's verse 28. Could we actually start with Tyndale?
Oh, I love that. You know I love that. Okay, Corinthians 11, verse 28.
Membies.
Okay, verse 28 in Tyndale. And God hath also ordained in the congregation first the apostles, secondarily prophetes, thirdly, teachers, and then they that do miracles. After that, the gifties of healing, helpers, governors, diversity of tongues.
Oh boy, Tyndale, what a blessing.
Yeah.
What a blessing. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers?
No.
Are all miracle workers? Do all have gifts of healings? Do all speak with various languages? Do all interpret? But earnestly desire the best gifts. Moreover, I show a most excellent way to you.
Okay, I like it. This is sort of a be excellent to each other. Yeah.
Paul's kind of a lot of whiplash back and forth really between being real angry about everything and then also being like, guys, but just like be excellent to each other, okay? Like, I love it. I love you.
Speaking of love,
we all love each other.
Okay, I think we know maybe 13. Which drug he's on. This one.
Yeah, he's on a happy drug right now.
Happy drugs, yeah.
It is interesting too with the whiplash of like how much reading Paul can go back and forth between stuff where I'm like, yeah, Paul, yeah, totally. To like, whoa, Paul, whoa, buddy, stop. Okay, what the hell are you saying? Yikos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. It's love chapter, Emily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you feeling loving?
Yeah, totes.
Did you write the book of love?
Did I?
It has music in it.
Did you? Wait,
we did 2 references in a row there, so can you parse them?
Yeah, well, the first one was from The Day the Music Died.
American Pie.
Bye, Miss American Pie. And then what was the other one that you said, Dedeker?
The Book of Love, originally by somebody, but I know the cover was by Peter Gabriel. So
yeah, I forget who the original was.
Yeah,
God, Peter Gabriel version's very good though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to listen to it next. Okay, 13. If I speak with the languages of men and of angels, but don't have love, I have become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but don't have love, I am nothing. If I dole out all my goods to feed the poor, and if I give my body to be burned, but don't have love, it profits me nothing. Oh, I know this part. Mm-hmm. Love is patient and is kind. Love doesn't envy. Love doesn't brag, is not proud, doesn't behave itself inappropriately. Well, sometimes. Doesn't seek its own way, is not provoked, takes no account of evil, doesn't rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, there will be done away with. Where there are various languages, they will cease. Where there is knowledge, it will be done away with. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. Prophesy in part. But when that which is complete has come, then that which is partial will be done away with. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I felt as a child. I thought as a child. Now that I have become a man, I have put away childish things. For now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, even as I was also fully known. But now faith, hope, and love remain, these 3. The greatest of these is love. That's quite lovely.
Emily, you just read a freaking greatest hits nonstop, back-to-back, like Billboard Top 100 tracks of the Bible right there. Like literally that whole chapter was nonstop hits.
I have to say, so Brady in the chat said, Paul can make me so upset and then awe me with poetry, a weird guy. And it's so true. So like weird. Actually now reading the context around it of like what the writing's been around it. And then this comes out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, I get why this suddenly had staying power because I'm like, whoa, Paul, this is beautiful. This is great.
It is beautiful, but I got to think about the man attached to these words a little bit.
It almost feels like it wasn't him, honestly. Like it feels so different from his whole vibe this whole time.
Not only that, but isn't Paul like celibate? So I don't think, I mean, and not to say that he can't like be in love with someone and be celibate, but I think about that to a degree. But I also think that like this doesn't necessarily speak to the love of a singular human being by any means.
Sure.
It could mean like the love of a community, for instance, just like love in general. Which
it feels like he's referring to a deeper love, right? Or a deeper sense of compassion.
Absolutely. And just the idea of what love can be for many beings, for just, putting that out into the world to community, for instance. Even the love that maybe a pastor will feel for his congregation. I don't know if that's a thing. I'm assuming it might be. But yeah, it is quite beautifully written.
You can see why it's a hit at weddings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
big hit at weddings.
For sure.
It's like the Christian Rumi.
Basically, yeah.
And I'm sure, I mean, but nowhere here does it say anything regarding like, this is about like a man and a woman or, two people coming together being in love with one another.
Yeah, I was waiting for John Dolph in the chat to slide in that it clarifies that, the Greek word is agape that's used in this chapter, which is the more family member, the familial love.
Yeah.
The paternal love.
Yeah.
I
mean, what is love really? Like, does lust have to enter in?
Right?
Right? Yeah. I think this is another one of my sermons.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
I love that.
Yes.
You got it.
So we are getting into some of the interesting parts of Paul that when like looking at the Wikipedia for the letter to the Corinthians, to the first epistle, that we're kind of getting into some of the more hotly discussed ones, right? Like this. So one of them that's interesting is this whole agape thing, is that this chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians is kind of considered one of the definitional sources for the word agape. It's like actually, not only is he using that word that we understand to have this more kind of global type of love, like a love you would have for family members and your Christian community and stuff like that, but that also that meaning is partly derived from this particular place in terms of how we understand those different connotations. And then also I was looking into the head covering thing, and apparently this is kind of wild that the word authority, where it talked about like the woman's authority or whatever.
Or she should have authority on her head.
Right, she should have authority on her head. Might actually be a mistranslation of the Aramaic word for veil. So it actually may have just said a veil on her head.
Interesting.
Which would make more sense than authority. That in Aramaic, the roots of the words for power and for veil are spelled the same. And so in translating into Greek, perhaps that was just a mistake that then stuck that way. And then also that last thing you read there, Emily, that was like through the shadowed glass or whatever
through the mirror darkly.
Is through a glass darkly, which has been the titles of a
many
ton
things.
Of works, through a glass darkly.
I thought it was like a scanner darkly.
It's like that, yeah.
Right.
Well, wasn't that the whole point being that like mirror technology was not great back then?
And glass technology.
So it's like you pretty much never had an opportunity to have a very clear reflection of yourself. Yeah.
It's only within other people do we see ourselves fully.
Yes. Emily, sermon. Done.
Love it. Beautiful.
Done. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just this chapter is so influential. So important here. Yeah. And now keep in mind what we read about women this week, because next week we're going to get some more insights about how women should or should not behave.
Oh boy.
Of course.
And that's actually something that will be interesting to talk about a little bit. And then, of course, we'll have a quiz next week.
Yeah.
Right? Unless we wait till the end of both. No, it'll be easier if we do 2 quizzes.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless I cannot find a quiz that's only 1 Corinthians, but I feel confident that I will.
I bet you will be able to. We can look that up, baby.
So it'll be great.
Preemptively.
All right, kids.
Okay. All right, everyone. This was a blast as always. Thank you for joining us for Bible study today. If you want to join the audience in our live stream shows, follow us on Twitch at Drunk Bible Study or go to drunkbiblestudy.com/live. If you want even more Drunk Bible Study, including early releases, cocktail recipes, personal toasts on the show, and more, become one of our patrons at patreon.com/drunkbiblestudy. If you enjoy the show, take a moment to subscribe and write us a nice review on iTunes, letting other people know what you like about it. You can also join fellow listeners in the Drunk Bible Study Fans and Fellowship Facebook group or on our Discord server, discord.drunkbiblestudy.com. Drunk Bible Study is created and produced by Jace Lindgren, Dedeker Winston, and me, Emily Matlack. Our theme song is Book Club by Josh and Anand from their album Home of the. For more information, visit us at drunkbiblestudy.com.
I made a memory about your dad. He's in a book club. Whoa. He's got a history of skimming past all the pages of ageless confessional shit.